Hello and welcome. This is going to be the final exam review for the algebraic reasoning. So we're going to go over the answers in order to help you prepare for the test. So let's get started. Question number 1 says, which letter represents -2, 5? So basically, remember, you put your pencil at the origin, and please remember that the first number represents your movement from left to right, and your second number represents your movement up and down. So because the first number is -2, so you put your pencil at the origin, and you're going to go to the left 2, and then the second number is +5, so you're going to go up 5. So that tells us that the answer is letter B. Let's go on to the next problem. Next problem says, which letter represents -3, 0? So right there, first number is -3, so we're going to go to the left 3. And the second number is 0, so we stay there. So that means the letter is letter I. Very well. Let's go on to problem number 3. Problem number 3 is asking for the domain. And if you don't remember, domain is the value of x. And whenever you have a set of ordered pairs, the x values is the first number of each parenthesis. So we're looking for one of the multiple choices that would have all these numbers. So the smallest number here is -2. If you notice right there is -2. And then we have 0. Then we have 2. That happens twice. And then the next one would be 3. So the multiple choice that contains that would be letter C. Okay, the next one is about function. Is asking which set represents y as a function of x. So remember, to be a function, the x value cannot repeat. Let me repeat that. To be a function, the x value cannot repeat. So if I look over here, I see that the number 5 for x here repeats, so that means this is not a function. This one, the x value does not repeat, so that means this will be a function. So this first one here is not a function. And then the third one, if we notice, the number 9 repeats, so that means this is not a function. And letter D, the value of 0 for x repeats, so this is be not a function. So looking at these multiple choices, letter B is our answer because that's the one that is a function. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. The next problem, you have a diagram called mapping, and you're trying to see which one of these tables would represent this diagram. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to change that into a table. So what we do is we write x and y, and then we look at the first line right there, which is -5, 3. The next line would be -2, 2. And the next one would be 1, -5. And the last one would be 4, 0. Once you build your table, then you just compare to the ones on the multiple choices, and you try to figure out which one is correct. And I've noticed here that I made a mistake here. This is -5, -3. And I see that letter B is the one that matches my table there, so it'd be letter B. Okay, let's go ahead and go on to the next problem. Next problem says, basically to identify the domain. So if you remember, domain is the x values. So basically, you're going to start out with your setup. And you're going to imagine a vertical line. Sorry, my vertical line didn't quite work there. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine this vertical line moving from left to right. And if I notice right there, the first place I touch is right there, which is at -5. So that means my first value there is going to be at -5. And because the point is solid, I'm going to put a dashed line. And then I'm going to continue moving my pencil. And the last place I touch is right over here. And if you can see right there, the value right there is a 6. So I'm going right over here, 6. And there's no dash because the point is empty. So the correct answer would be letter C, because it starts at 5 with a dash and ends at 6 with no dash. Let's go ahead and go on to the next problem, number 7. Okay, next, number 7 is asking for the range. And if you remember, range has to do with the y value. So which be the second number of each parenthesis. So if I start with the smallest value, here would be -12, followed by -7, and then followed by 3, and then the next one would be 4. And I don't have to repeat the 4s. So then the answer would be letter B. There we go. Next one is a diagram again, the mapping. And I'm asked, what is the range? The range is the y values. So basically, I'm looking for these numbers right here. So I'll start with -5, and then 3, 5, and 7. So -5, 3, 5, and 7 will be letter C. There we go. Let's go on to the next problem right here. And let me make a little bit thinner my lines. Okay, so basically here is function notation. And with function notation is whatever you see inside this parenthesis, that's your x value. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to copy the formula, but instead of x, we're going to replace the x with the x value that is given. So in this case, it would be -2. So now 2 negatives becomes positive. So 5 plus 2. And then this would be -3 times 7. And -3 times 7 is -21. So there we go. All right, let's go on to the next problem. Next problem again is function notation. Please remember this is the x value. So then you write the 4, open parentheses, put the 7 inside, copy the squared, -3. And what you can do is put this in the calculator, okay? And so here I have my calculator, and I'm going to write 4 parentheses let me try to remember again. So it is 4 parentheses 7 close parentheses, then squared, -3. So if you see right there, 4, 7 squared minus 3 is 193. So I'm going to go ahead and write my answer, 193. And there we go. So let's go ahead and go on to the next problem, simplifying expressions. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the number that is outside and multiply by the numbers that are inside. So this would be bring down the 3, Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And then negative 5 times negative 4 is positive 20. Then we're going to combine like terms. So this would be 3 and 20 will be 23 minus 5x. So that's our answer right there. The next one, same thing. We're going to eliminate parentheses. And please remember, if there's no number in front of the parentheses, you put a 1. So 5 times 3 is 15x. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4x. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. So we're going to combine like terms. So 15 minus 4 is 11x. Negative 10 minus 7 is negative 17. So that's our answer right there for number 12. Let's go on to the next problem, number 13. I'm going to put the little border right here. And first step is to eliminate parentheses, but we don't have parentheses, so we skip. Next step is to combine like terms, and right here on this side, there's nothing I can combine, nothing that I combine. So skip to step number 3, which is move the numbers. Now that I can move the 4 to the other side. And the negative 3x is going to go to the other side as well. Okay, so that means the negative 5x comes down. The 4 goes to the other side as negative 4. The 12 comes down as positive 12. And the negative 3x comes over here as positive 3x. And then negative 5x plus 3 equals negative 2x. And negative 4 plus 12 is positive 8. Divide both sides by negative 2. So that means x equals negative 4. And that's our answer. Okay, let's go on to the next problem. That will be problem number 14. First step is draw the little border right there. And first step is to eliminate parentheses. So I'm going to have 6 times 3 is 18x. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42. 7x, we're going to bring it down. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Now, next step is combine like terms. There's nothing I can combine here, so I'm going to bring it down. But on this side, I can combine 7x with 5x, which equals 2x minus 10. Now it's time to move the numbers. The 18x is going to come down. The 42 goes to the other side as positive 42. The 2x goes to the other side as negative 2x. Negative 10 comes down. So 18 minus 2 is 16x. And then 42 minus 10 is 30, equals 32. We divide both sides by 16. This would be x equals 2. And that's our answer. Next problem. First step is to eliminate parentheses. Please remember there's a border right there. Okay, 8 times 3 is 24x. 8 times 5 is 40. Negative 5 times 2 is negative 10x. Negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. And don't forget the equal sign. 6 times 3 is 18x. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2x. Negative 1 times 8 is negative 8. Now we're going to do the next step, which is combine like terms. So we're going to combine these guys. And on this side, I'm going to combine 18x minus 2x. And negative 30, I'm going to combine with negative 8. Okay, so on this side, 24 minus 10 is 14x. And 40 minus 30 is positive 10. 18x minus 2 is 16x. Negative 30 minus 8 is negative 38. So we're going to do 14x going to come down. The 10 is going to go to the other side as negative 10 because we're going to move. And then the 16x is going to come to this side as negative 16x. And negative 38 comes down. Here we go. Now we'll combine like terms. So this will be negative 2x. Negative 10 minus 38 is negative 48. Divide both sides by negative 2. X equals 24. Okay, next problem is an inequality. So we're going to multiply the numbers that are outside with the numbers that are inside. So this would be 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times x is 7x. Bring down this other 7 here. Greater or equal to, then bring down the 9x. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 10 is negative 40. Now we're going to do combine like terms. So these 7 and this 7 is going to combine. Going to equals 14 plus 7x greater or equal to. On this side, we have 9 and 4 that equals 13x. And we'll bring down the negative 40. Now we're going to move the numbers. So 14 is going to go to the other side. And the 13 is going to come to this side. So we'll bring down the 7x. The 13 comes to this side as negative 13x. Greater or equal to. The 14 goes the other side, negative 14. And we'll bring down the 40. 7 minus 13 is negative 6x. And negative 14 minus 40 is negative 54. We divide both sides by negative 6. This would be x less or equal to positive 9. So that means we're going to graph by putting the 9 in the middle, 10 and 11, and then here will be 8 and 7. And then put a circle, a filled circle on top of the 9 because our inequality sign has a dash and it's pointing to the left, so we're going to go to the left. And that's our inequality. Let's go on to the next problem. The first step is to eliminate parentheses, so we're going to multiply these numbers times the numbers that are inside the parentheses. We're going to bring down this 4 and this 3x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 4 times 2x is negative 8x. Greater than negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. And negative 8 times 5 is negative 40. Now we're going to combine like terms. So 4 is going to combine with 12. Negative 3x is going to combine with negative 8x. On this side, we have negative 8x and negative 8x that can combine. And then we have negative 8 with negative 40. All right, let's combine those. So on this side, we have negative 8. Negative 3 minus 8 is negative 11x. Greater than negative 8 minus 8x is negative 16x. Negative 8 minus 40 is negative 48. Now let's move the numbers. The 8 is going to move. The 16 is going to move as well. So this would be negative 11x on this side. The 16 is going to come over as positive 16x. The negative 8 goes up the other side as positive 8, and we bring down the negative 48. Now we're going to combine like terms. Negative 11 plus 16 is 5x. Negative 40. We divide both sides by 5. And we get x greater than negative 8. Please notice here I do not flip the inequality sign because I'm not dividing by negative number on the bottom. So it stays the same. Now it's time to graph. So we put negative 8 in the middle. Next to negative 8 to the right is negative 7, negative 6. And to this side is negative 9, negative 10. We put a circle on top of the 8, and it's going to be an empty circle because there's no dash, and it goes to the right. Okay. All right, this concludes this part of the video for the final exam review. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.